That we are. Hey, good morning from Christchurch, New Zealand. It's a beautiful but a little bit foggy Thursday morning here, and would love to know where you are finding me on your live stream. I'm multi-streaming here on various platforms because I guess that's the thing to do. It's 2023. Everyone's doing a little live streaming, so here I am. So let me know where you are in the comments. Just leave me a quick comment if you're watching this live. If you're not watching it live, you can still leave a comment and I'll come back and answer your comments, of course. I love getting feedback. So a lot of you asked me in the last live stream that we had yesterday why I was in Christchurch, New Zealand. And that is actually a really good question. So I'll tell you the story. As you may know, I'm on a 3-year project to travel around the world and to write about tourism and to meet people like you and to, see what's going on and write articles about it and to do blog posts. And so I got invited to New Zealand by the New Zealand tourism people. They emailed me about, I want to say 9 months ago and said, hey, we understand that you're going to be in our area. Please come and visit. And I thought, this is great. I would love to come to New Zealand. I've heard so many amazing things about New Zealand. And so I made plans, booked my flights and everything like that. And then I guess, I don't know what happened, but they must have read some of my stories. I guess it's probably better to read the journalist's stories before inviting the journalist over. But after a while, they stopped responding to my emails. I wondered why that could possibly be. So as far as I can tell, let me start by saying I really love New Zealand. It is a great place and you have to come and visit. It's beautiful. The people are very friendly, great food, and it's just cost of living is pretty low. It's got everything that you could possibly want in a destination. It looks a lot like Switzerland. But what I have determined, and I actually said this in the podcast that I do for Elliott Confidential, is that I think that the tourism people are actually there to keep people away, which I've seen in only one other destination, and that is Switzerland, and that they actually are trying to keep people out. Their job is not to promote tourism, but maybe to promote tourism to the right people and to keep the rest of the people out. So lovely, lovely to know that. I wish I had known that before, but I'm really glad I came. So I'm in Christchurch, New Zealand. We've got a little rental here. It's really very nice. Every day we go walking in the park and there's a food market and it's really very beautiful. So come and visit. It's definitely worth it, even though the tourism people would like me to not promote tourism to New Zealand. The South Island, it's pretty awesome. Okay, wow, look, I got a comment here. Kathleen is in Tampa. Hey, Kathleen, how are you? Tampa probably is a little bit warmer than it is here in Christchurch. I've been wearing my fuzzy for the last couple of days and because it's been so cold, but it does warm up a little bit. So even though it is technically, it's like November here, so it's May, but really because it's Southern Hemisphere, it's like November. It's actually pretty nice. I mean, it hasn't snowed yet at least, although it does snow in the Alps of New Zealand. So I would love to know where you are. Leave me a message in the chats, please, and I'll read those on the live stream. But I've got a lot to cover today. We have, let's see if I can go over here to the screen. We have a story about refunds that's just truly remarkable on my consumer advocacy site today, elliott.org. And it is about a guy who had to wait 3 years for a refund. So I want to talk a little bit about what happened in that case. And I want to also talk about ways that you can avoid a 3-year wait for a refund. So if you are watching this right now live, I would love to know, first of all, where you are and how long you've had to wait for a refund. What is the longest that you've ever had to wait for a refund? Tell me what it was for, and I will, of course, read that right here live, and we can talk about it. It's a little bit of a slow day, and I know it's slow because I got a late start. Why did I get a late start? Because I spilled tea on the sofa. It's very embarrassing, but I was trying to set up like the camera and I put the tea on the sofa for a minute and it spilled all over and I had to go run and clean it up. I hope that the people who we rented from don't see that. It's not very, it doesn't stain, so it should be okay. So where are you and what is the longest that you've ever waited for a refund? Let me get right into this story though, because it's really it's fascinating. It was a woman who had booked a room, and let me see if I can just scroll over here real quickly to the article because I don't want to miss any important details. It was I believe it was hotels. Yes, it was hotels.com. So a woman's name was Michelle who was owed a $1,632 refund from hotels.com going all the way back to the pandemic. And she actually had done something really interesting. She had made a reservation at this hotel, and I can get you the name of the hotel. I believe it was in the Caribbean. So yeah, no, it was in the Turks and Caicos for April 2020. And what happened was that for some reason, hotels.com couldn't process the entire reservation. And so she made two reservations, one for one section of her trip and the other for the second part. And what happened was that hotels.com was able to get the first part refunded, but not the second part. And so this led her on a wild goose chase to try to figure out how to get her money back. Now, there are a couple of principles that you can easily follow to get your money back when there's a long delay. Obviously, the first thing you want to do is ask. And I don't just mean like ask by calling them up. I mean ask in writing. And the reason why is you want to have a paper trail. You want to have a record of the conversation between you and the company so that if there ever is a question about what happened and when it happened, most importantly, that you say, hey, look, I emailed you back in May of 2020 and here's how you responded. Most people run into problems when they call and they think that, oh, I'll just resolve this with a very quick phone call. That is not how it works, unfortunately. So she ended up calling, unfortunately, and she did get part of her money back, but not the rest. So what do you do when that happens? Well, when you have a situation like this with hotels.com, you actually have two places that you can go to. You can go to the hotel directly, and then you can go to your online travel agent. So the online travel agent, hotels.com, we list the names, numbers, email addresses of all of the executives on my website, elliott.org. And you can go there and find a real person that you can contact and escalate that by forwarding all of the entire paper trail to that person. But this woman could have also gone to the hotel directly and said, hey, where's my money? And it looks like she actually did do that. So what happens if that doesn't work? Well, in a previous live stream, we did have someone who is a professional who is in the industry and who said that naming and shaming or social media shaming or whatever you want to call it does work. So a call out to hotels.com on Twitter. She mentioned that Ceci mentioned that Twitter can be particularly effective in getting a company's attention. So definitely consider a call out on Twitter or something like that. Although, my recommendation is that you be very careful. Don't use all uppercase. Don't use swear words. Those get filtered out. And always be polite when you're trying to get a refund. Otherwise, you may get your case may get sent to the legal department. And that's particularly true if you threaten to sue someone. You do not want to threaten a lawsuit if you're just trying to get a refund. And then, of course, the final option that you do have is a credit card dispute under the Fair Credit Billing Act. Now, this situation with a 3-year delay would have been a very special situation because there was no cessation of business and the 90 days as required under the Fair Credit Billing Act would have been up. But there are credit card companies and banks that will take a dispute even if it's past the 90 days. So that you can ask. It's really up to them. Also, there are some credit card networks that will allow, under special circumstances, will allow a credit card dispute to happen if you can prove that, for example, the product was not delivered or there was some kind of an extenuating circumstance. They will allow more than the 90 days. So I've seen up to 180 days in cases of things like bankruptcy. So those are the ways that I know that you can get a refund faster. Now it looks like this woman, this reader, really tried everything that she could, and my hats off to her. I mean, she spent 3 years trying to get $1,800 back from hotels.com, and it didn't work. So we contacted her, my advocacy team. We like to call ourselves the A team. We contacted hotels.com on her behalf, and it finally, eventually, not only apologized but refunded the $1,800. The takeaway from this is you do not want to make these split reservations. That really complicates things. You don't want to, complexity really is the enemy of an expedited refund. The more complex things get, if you have multiple reservations, or if you have something special like an extension, a ground excursion, shore excursion, whatever it is that you've got, that makes the reservation more complicated. That adds to the complexity. And then when the accounting department is trying to do a refund, they've got a lot of paperwork to review. So I can only imagine the accountant sitting there going, oh, I don't want to do this one. This is too complicated. And then, of course, that gets pushed off to the side. And then weeks become months, months become years. And then you have a 3-year case. At any rate, really, in the end, it was hotels.com that could have done a better job. Really, that's kind of an understatement. It could have done a much better job because it did not help this person. And it was really the travel agent here in this case. So she tried to lean on hotels.com and it did not help her. And that's really very unfortunate. So I'm glad that they eventually apologized and did the right thing. So she has her money back, where everyone is very happy. And we have a comment. Okay. So this is coming in from from one of our Facebook groups. So unfortunately, we don't have a name, but that's okay. This is a good point. Also, when people use multiple accounts for making a payment on a reservation. Oh, yes. Excellent, excellent point. So if you decide that you're going to use one credit card for one part of the reservation and another credit card, or God forbid, pay in cash, that could really complexify. I don't even know if that's a word, but it could make the whole process much more complicated than it is. And then the accountants, sometimes I've actually talked to people who work in that accounting department handling refunds. It's not a massive operation at all, and there's a reason for that. So in a lot of situations, travel companies, really any company, there's no incentive for issuing a fast refund. So they don't really staff up the departments the way they do for like sales. If you want to reach someone in sales, it's really easy. You just go on the online chat and there's someone there who's really willing to take your money. Of course, a business has an incentive to take your money quickly. It does not have any incentive to return the money. Often there's no rule that says you have to return the money within a certain amount of time. And we've seen that with Vantage Travel. By the way, I will get to Vantage Travel in a second. I'll give you all the updates as soon as I can. But that is one thing that uh, you really have to keep in mind, is that it's usually just one or two people who are sitting there, and they're usually underpaid. They don't have adequate training in some cases, and they're dealing with this onslaught of refund requests, especially after the pandemic. So that's really, really a terrible thing. All right, commenters, you have been awfully, awfully quiet. So if you're watching this live, please leave a comment now. Tell me where you are and tell me what the longest is that you have ever waited for a refund. I will be here hanging on with bated breath to see your comments. We have more other things going on here. I think I covered how to get a faster refund already. It is calling the company is not the thing that you want to do, and threatening is not what you want to do too. I had a really lovely email from my friend. Uh, where are you? My friend Anne. Anne, if you're watching this, I told you I was going to do this. Okay. So Anne wanted to know. She said that she'd been offline for a while, and I'm glad you're back online, Anne. She says, I saw your Facebook talk about luggage fees. I hope you're watching now, Anne. Got me to thinking about the other disservices to the customer. She says, my beef is that until a few years ago, you could fly from point A to point B nonstop, or in my case, a transatlantic, like point A to point B via Atlanta or JFK. But now she says it's ridiculous. She says, my sister is coming to Fort Myers from Manchester, England, and her options are Manchester. It's 4 airports there. Um, and she says, do airlines really make more money by doing this? She says it's hard to understand how, and it doesn't win them any fans among travelers. I thought it might be a topic for an article, or maybe I can just answer it right now on the live stream. Okay, happy to answer that. Airlines do not really benefit as much from offering these nonstop direct flights from point A to point B. They would much rather offer their flights through one of their large hubs. And the reason why is that it's more convenient for them. They can offload passengers, they can offload cargo, and then they can allow more people to connect and then go on to whatever their final destination is. And so airlines they love the hub and spoke system because it is convenient mostly for them. It can be convenient for a traveler. Obviously, if you want to get from a smaller airport to somewhere overseas and you connect through Atlanta, that's good. But when I see routings that take you through 3 airports or more, then I start thinking, well, this is really not something that you're doing for the passenger. If you really wanted to do something nice for the passenger, you would offer a direct flight or maybe a 1 stop. But 3 stops and 4 stops, get out of here. I mean, that's not something that's consumer friendly at all. So, and maybe you're flying on the wrong airline. Maybe your sister is flying on the wrong airline. And my recommendation would be find a different airline. My favorite search engine for airline tickets is Google Flights. I use it all the time. And this is not an ad. This is actually just my honest opinion is I go to Google Flights because it does offer a lot of flights that you don't see on the other search engines and less bias to it. I think there is some bias there. But when I say bias, I mean like, well, if you pay me Expedia or Booking.com a little extra, I'll feature your flights higher up. Doesn't do anything like that, which actually I think is really good. So, oh, look at that. We've got some more comments, chatters. I love you. You're the best. Okay. Facebook user. Here we go. At Vantage. Oh, we want to talk about Vantage now? Okay, hang on a second. I don't believe that refund delays are due to staffing. They do have the cash to pay refunds. Okay, you may be an insider there, but I did speak with someone very high up. I did an interview who said that they literally have, I think, 2 people right now working in the refunds department, and they're trying to hire a 3rd person. But it's been a couple of weeks since that. They may have found new people. Interesting story, actually, from my source over at Vantage was that they had tried training people to do the job, and then they left before they could start. And that makes me wonder, like, what kind of company are you running? Why are people leaving before they can start work? I don't know. That's a very good question. Something is definitely amiss at Vantage. I don't know what is happening, but we'll get to the bottom of that soon. All right. Mark in Ocala. Thank you for actually answering the question, Mark. The longest I personally waited was approximately 6 months for a cruise line during the pandemic. Lucky you, Mark, because a lot of people waited much longer than that. I'm glad you did finally get your money. And, if you hadn't gotten your money, you could have asked us for help. We would have been more than happy to see if we could fix it for you. During the pandemic, a wait of a year was not that unusual. 2 years even was not that unusual. Now we're way past the pandemic. We're 3 years past the start of the pandemic. And so getting a case like this hotels.com case where someone waited 3 years to get their money is highly unusual, and it's just very embarrassing too. I would not recommend doing that to any of your customers, because then you might hear from someone like us. Okay, so let us then talk a little bit about the last item on our agenda today before I sign off and go take a nice walk here in Christchurch, New Zealand. And it is still morning here. It's like it's 8:30 in the morning. I know that on the East Coast it's still Wednesday, but hey, you know something? It's really nice to get the news, to get a day ahead of the news. So you can say that I've got tomorrow's news today already, because I'm delivering it actually from Thursday. Kind of interesting, isn't it? Anyway, but yes, and also another selling point: tell all your friends to tune into this stream because I guarantee you it's not created by an AI. I am actually a real person. Interestingly enough, I've seen so much AI generated news in the last couple of days, really weeks, and some of it generated by colleagues, people that I know, people that I used to know, and that have really been using AI a lot. AI can be a very helpful tool, of course, but sometimes when you're using AI to actually create news or to bring you the news, that can be troublesome. So you know that it's me. I'm responding to you right now. I am definitely not an AI. Definite selling point, I would say. Um, Latest on Vantage Travel. All right. Well, I can see by the number of people watching that everyone wants to know what the latest is with Vantage Travel. So the latest is that I have emailed Vantage to ask them a series of questions about their operation. There had been a lot of speculation about a possible bankruptcy filing, and that this stoppage that they had, this supposed ransomware attack, was just a cover for them at some point, either ramping down business or going out of business entirely. Um, that has not happened. And so any kind of speculation about Vantage going out of business is actually just that. It's speculation. We know that they are still operating. We know the phone lines are back up and running. So when Vantage says that it got hit by a ransomware attack, I do believe that that is true. But I think that there is more to the story than just that. The reason that I'm saying that is that I've gotten hundreds of emails, maybe even thousands of emails from people who say that they are owed a refund from Vantage Travel. If you're just tuning into this live stream, I will tell you the story in 30 seconds or less about Vantage Travel. Vantage is a reputable company, or was a reputable company. I guess some would still say it is, that offers luxury cruises all around the world. And during the pandemic, they had a lot of cancellations, and people had asked for refunds. They were entitled to refunds, and they are not getting those refunds in a timely manner. So we're getting a ton of emails from people who are asking for their money back and asking for our help in getting the money back. Unfortunately, my options are very limited when it comes to getting a refund. I can only ask on your behalf if you do have a refund that's due, and then sometimes I will not even hear back from Vantage. It's gotten to the point now where they're not even responding to any of the emails that I send over, or phone calls. I have cell phone numbers that I've been calling and leaving messages, and they just don't respond. Um, so what else might be going on? I mean, we know that there are some ships that have had some delays. So they were expecting some new ships to come online, and they've been delayed. We know also that they've had some staffing issues. I mentioned that before. So they're trying to hire people to process refunds. And I believe that all of those things are true, but there are other things going on as well. Don't know what those are, but if you get a Vantage Travel brochure in your mail and it's offering a really great deal if you're just paying cash, I would really think very carefully about saying yes to something like that, because it's possible that Vantage is not telling us everything, and that there are other things going on, and that your money may just disappear down one of those little vortices. Who knows? Don't know that for sure, but the risks are definitely higher. If you do decide to pay for a Vantage cruise, you can go through a travel agent. You have some protection. You can get travel insurance. Travel insurance will allow you, if there is a cessation of operations, if there's a bankruptcy, it will allow you to, in some cases, get a full refund. I would also use a credit card, because if something goes wrong and you've used a credit card, you can always file a credit card dispute under the Fair Credit Billing Act, which is the law that protects you. So that is what I would do. That's all that we know right now about Vantage Travel, but I see some comments. So let's see if we can go to some comments. Okay, yes, we've got another Facebook user saying, we now have heard that vendors and staff overseas have not been paid, indicating a serious cash flow issue and itinerary changes. It's like they're running on fumes. You know what? It would not surprise me if they were running on fumes. I've actually personally been contacted by people at Vantage who say that they haven't been paid. Independent contractor reached out to me and actually showed me his employment contract, so I know it was someone who was legit. And yeah, that's not a good situation. I notice some consumer advocacy sites that are sitting on a keyword, Vantage Travel bankruptcy. God, look, speculating like that is really not helpful at all. I mean, we can talk about that, but I certainly hope that they don't file for bankruptcy. And if they do, I'll be the first to report it. But putting that as a keyword in a story is very irresponsible, in my opinion. So, yeah, let's see. Sam says, enjoying the live streams. Fun and interesting watching from the kitchen table in Oregon while eating lunch. Oh, it's lunchtime over there. All right, cool. Yes, I'm glad you liked the live stream. I am enjoying doing the live stream too. And my favorite part is actually getting comments from you. So please keep them coming. I love it. I did get a comment from someone saying, you should not chat so much. You should get right to the point. Yes, I understand. So I will try to weave in some of the comments with my commentary and the answers to these questions. And, we'll see how it goes. But I really do love hearing from you. So as long as I am still online, keep sending me your comments. Another Facebook user says, I do not believe for 1 second that they're hiring more people for refunds. They just do not have the money. So the question, I guess, is do I think that they're hiring people to process refunds? I think that right now they're hiring people to deal with whatever the ransomware attack is, or to deal with maybe salespeople so that they can really book more cruises. But no, refunds is probably not a priority. And that's not just true for Vantage Travel. That's true for, I think, any company operating not just in travel and the cruise industry, but any company at all, is that, look, if you don't have any kind of incentive to give someone their money back, why would you do it? Instead, why not just sit on that money for a little while, maybe let it collect some interest, maybe use it for other things like paying your employees or paying your bonuses. And then, when they start screaming and yelling, then you can blame it on the credit card company. I've seen that before and say, well, credit card companies take a while to process refunds. Or you can blame their bank. I've seen that as well. I know your bank's just not showing it, but we did promise we really did send it. But honestly, there's really no reason for them to pay you back quickly. The other thing you could do, of course, is blame it on the pandemic. I mean, I've seen that. People are still blaming the pandemic for all kinds of crazy things. I mean, you see airlines now that are blaming all of their problems on the pandemic, which is, that happened a while ago. What happened? Why are you not running an efficient airline? Maybe it's because you're a very bad manager. That's a possibility. If you're dealing with an airline, it's a probability. But anyway, so that's it. Anyway, if you don't have any more questions, I will wrap things up because I hate hearing myself talking. I think I'd rather let you do the chatting. But if you have any other comments, this is the last call for comments. I am really, loving this place here. Christchurch is awesome, and we're gonna do our food tour this weekend. That's one of the traditional things that the boys and I like to do when we're at a destination, is that we find our favorite restaurants and then we go and take pictures of everything that we eat, and then we do a podcast. So that will be our Elliott Confidential podcast, which will be on, I think we're going to do that on Saturday. We'll publish it on Saturday. So there's that. I've been actually, and you might find this surprising because you might think I am caffeinated, but I am not caffeinated at all. No caffeine this morning for me, but I've been touring the best coffee shops in Christchurch, and they have some really amazing coffee. And maybe in a future live stream, I will tell you about that too. All right, guys, that's it. I don't think that I have anything more to say. I hope that you never have to deal with a refund delay, but if you do, you can always contact me. You know where to find me, elliott.org. Yeah, let me put that banner up here once again. There it is. Okay, yes, elliott.org. So contact me there, and I have a whole team of people, really great, amazing volunteers that I work with who will help you. We're the A-team. not the 1980s TV show where the advocacy team, different guys. And we'll be sure to give you a straight answer if we can't help you, but we'll definitely try to help. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I have had fun, as I do every day. I love live streaming. I love talking to you. I will see you tomorrow. All right, bye.